Hey everybody, and welcome to this RIDI Roundtable celebrating a year of disability inclusion and some fantastic experiences to bring through from our winners in the 2020 awards. We've also obviously got some learning points, some myths and realities to explore and either dispel or prove around how the pandemic and the challenges of 2020 and 2021 so far have impacted on our disabled colleagues, and specifically, of course, for us, our disabled job seekers. I'm so excited though to bring with me the winners from last year. So if we could just remind ourselves of those winners and runners up from last year, and just see the breadth of organisations who shared with us their valuable insights and their learning points in terms of disability inclusion during 2020 and of course 2019. So you'll see here that our highly commendeds include people like Balfour Beatty in the civil service. We've got our own Guidant Global, Manchester Airport Group, Capita and various local authorities, and of course employability in there as well, and our pension protection fund and their fantastic entry as well. If we can have a look maybe at some of the winners, Sarah, that would be fantastic. The Zoom delay.
They're up on screen.
Oh, are they? I can't see that. I can only see Headley commended. Oh, there they are. Do apologise, everybody. So we've got the winners, and our overall winners, for those of you who haven't joined us before, was Diversity and Ability, who were unanimously voted by audience and judges and exec, that for all of those fantastic entries we've got, they just did the most amazing work. For those of you that haven't connected with them in terms of their diversity consultancy, the support they provide for disabled job seekers and employers seeking to be more inclusive around disability, please do so. I would definitely recommend that. And then our other winners included the Civil Service HR and DWF, the Financial Conduct Authority, which is one of the roundtables I had the privilege of joining, where they shared with us some of the work they'd done around their graduate scheme, and that simple step of putting a video in around reasonable adjustments and what that might look like for graduates, increase the numbers of disabled job applications and adjustment requests in one graduate cohort by well over 100%, which was just fantastic. Small thing, very significant impact. Then we've also got GTI, who I think are probably within the audience with us today, who've done tremendous work internally around mental health. They're now sharing that out within their organisations and clients as well. Those are the two roundtables I had the privilege on, and with our RIDI exec members who are at this roundtable today, we're going to explore some of the learning points from some of those other winners in a moment. So without more ado, I think we're going to meet one of our previous winners on video, which is Simon Fawkes Underwood, who was the leader of the team who won the best recruitment team in the RIDI 2021 awards, which is HS2. So we're just going to hear a little bit more from him before we start introducing our exec members on the call today. So if we can run that video, that's brilliant. Thank you.
At HS2, we're incredibly proud of all the things we've achieved in our diversity and inclusivity approach. We've had a long partnership with a Clear company who have helped us on the journey to increasing the accessibility of our recruitment processes, and consequently, we love to enter the RIDI Awards every year and share the stories that we've had. This year, winning the award for Best Recruitment Team at the RIDI Awards was absolutely incredible. As I'm sure it has for everyone, it's been a really difficult year, both personally and professionally. We've all had to change the way we work. We've all had to change the way we go about recruiting people. So getting recognition that we managed to maintain the standards that we set for ourselves around accessible recruitment was a huge fillip for the team. We were over the moon, incredibly proud and humble, especially looking at some of the other entrants in that field to have won Recruitment Team of the Year. Thinking about the learnings we've taken on the journey towards inclusivity and to being in a position where we consider ourselves as a good recruitment team in that space, I think it probably boils down to three things for me. One is always remembering it is a journey. No one's perfect. It's great to receive accolades and great to have organisations like RIDI appreciate what you do, but I guess I get to see all the mistakes we make on a day-to-day basis, all the things we do wrong, because it is a journey.
Sorry, Sarah?
And no one's perfect, and we're still, as a team and as individuals, learning how to make our recruitment processes more accessible. I think secondly, building on the first point, it's having access to the right partners, the right support networks across the recruitment world. These days, that there's so much we do. There's so many different technologies, emerging technologies, so many different theories, different ways of assessing, all sorts of process and people opportunities to consider. So having a network of support, whether that's other organizations, other sort of recruitment organizations that you trust, that you can go to and share best practice, or whether it's organizations like our partners who help us to design or verify the processes we have, is absolutely imperative. As I've said before, we don't know everything, so being able to draw on that support and validate what we do is really, really important. And I think thirdly, and possibly most importantly, it's really remembering how important the inclusivity journey is as a recruiter. You know, it's pretty awesome working in this industry, and I've had lots of opportunities to work with some great people and do some really, really interesting things. But ultimately, the one thing that I can be truly proud of throughout my career, and I know the same goes for my team, is the ability to make the workplace day by day, year by year, that little bit more accessible. To think that the generations that come behind us won't necessarily have the struggles of the generations that came before us. And if you keep that vision in mind, and if you set your goals pretty high, then it makes all the learning, all the hard work you have to put in to get there, really quite achievable.
Brilliant. Apologies for the delay in unmuting there. Thanks very much for that from Simon, and some key lessons to learn there about we are always learning. One of the things that we always find from RIDI, and those of you who've joined us before will hopefully reflect this, is we don't know what we don't know until it's kind of we're made aware of it. That's one of the key learnings that we share every year. So we do encourage you to join these roundtables, to look at those past winners, those videos available through the RIDI website. We're going to join our exec team now, who are with us in the room today. It's the first time we've done this live, as it probably shows, for over a year, as opposed to pre-recording our videos. And I'm actually in the office for the first time since February 2020, so feeling a bit giddy myself. I want to get some insights from the RIDI exec about the year that we've had, some of those highlights from the awards, some of those lessons that we've learned, and some of those myths that we want to either dispel or prove in terms of things that we've learned that we can take forward. We're going to build that up to talking to you about this year's awards and how that's an opportunity for you to share best practice and learn from others around you, and the introduction of one of our new award categories that I think you'll find particularly relevant when we reflect on this year. So Nikki, if I could introduce Nikki Dallas as a new RIDI Exec Board member. Excuse me, sorry, I'm losing my voice, so probably a good time to hand over. Nikki, could you share with us some of your insights in terms of Talent FM and RIDI, please?
Sure. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. So thanks very much for inviting me onto the exec. Yes, it's obviously been a challenging year for everybody, but especially challenging within the worlds of facilities management, which is the area that I recruit for, and the sector that I work in. For people that don't know, facilities managers are the people that are responsible for keeping people safe in the workplace. So as you can imagine, it's been quite a tough year for them. But resilience is in the DNA of FM leaders, so they're building back stronger, whilst of course embracing the new challenges that we're facing now of flexible and hybrid working, and however that may pan out. And I'm really thrilled to be involved with RIDI, because I feel that there's such a great synergy between a lot of my sector and within facilities management and making buildings and areas a lot more accessible for people. So I'm hoping that I can help to share the RIDI message within the facilities management community. So that's one of the reasons that I'm really keen to be involved. So thanks very much for having me.
You're very welcome, Nikki. We're absolutely delighted to have you, and the commitment you've shown so far after such a difficult year for the sector. Absolutely bowled over all of the RIDI exec, and we unanimously voted to bring you on board on the exec. And thank you for following us over previous years as well. And I understand you're sponsoring one of our awards this year that's of particular interest to us. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yes, so obviously within the recruitment world, I've got a real interest within inclusive hiring. So that's the award that I'll be looking at sponsoring this year. Obviously, it's something that's in my day job. So I've got a lot of knowledge and experience around that. So it seemed like a really good fit for me to sponsor that one. So yeah, I'll be looking at that area.
Great, brilliant. And thank you again for your generosity to RIDI. It helps us to continue what we're doing, and particularly with the award. So that's brilliant.
No problem.
I'm now going to move, Nikki, from our newie to our old favourite, Paul Deemer, who's been just fantastic with his time this year, despite, you know, working for NHS employers and the pressure you and all of your colleagues has been on, Paul. So this is an opportunity for me to publicly thank the amount of time and commitment you've shown on the roundtables, sharing case studies, sharing social media, sharing learning points with and forums with everybody. So a big thank you for that. And I'd be really interested to hear what the highlights are for you, be them highlights or lowlights, really, sort of the learnings that you'd like to share with our audience today.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Kate. And it's lovely to be here. And I think for me, as you say, I mean, I always say to people, when it comes to the NHS and public sector bodies, to a certain degree, you know, you almost expect us to be doing good work around diversity and inclusion, because not least because we've got duties and responsibilities under the Equality Act. So there's almost an expectation that we should do it. So the thing I love about the RIDI Awards is the breadth of organisations that you bring into this arena. You know, and Nikki there is a classic example, you know, of the areas of work that we need to get involved in. You mentioned the Manchester group earlier, and I know Heathrow, I think, were there as well as one of the winners or highly commended, I can't remember. And, you know, we know that the transport industry, when it comes to disability, has got a whole heap of work to do to improve its accessibility. And so it's great to have organisations like that involved. But the wider breadth of organisations as well that you bring into this arena is absolutely fantastic. And you know, it's about, you know, I think Simon in his video talked about stories, and it's about organisations telling stories and sharing stories. And I mean, we've learned that across the NHS over the last 15 months, you know, the importance of people talking about their experiences. We talk about lived experience, don't we, Kate? And you know, that is just so critical. And I think the more we tell those stories and share those stories, the better. I was at an event yesterday. I got invited to talk to the construction industry about diversity. And I don't, you know, in all my 15 years of working in the diversity field, I don't think I've ever been invited to speak to the construction industry about, but I know, you know, from what I've seen and also what I heard yesterday as well, that they're doing some fantastic work, and there's some real enthusiasm and some real desire to address some of these issues. So it fills me with hope, Kate, it fills me with hope. And I do think awards, I think sometimes awards get a bad press. People say, oh, there's too many awards, you know, and maybe there are, but actually I think the fact that there are so many awards now, it actually makes it that much more impressive when you get shortlisted, because you know, Kate, as well as I do, that our criteria and the bar that we set gets higher and higher each time. So when you get shortlisted, that's a real achievement. So, you know, congratulations to everybody actually who got shortlisted last year for the awards, and please apply again this year.
Thanks, Paul. That's great. And yeah, in terms of the awards, it's a really difficult one. We have this debate regularly at RIDI, and we will take feedback if anybody wants to share it. But we call them the awards, but in fact, what we refer to them as internally is our celebration of best practice. Really, it's an opportunity for us to gather and harness pieces of learning, nuggets of understanding, little things that change lives and change organisational confidence around disability, and share them in a way that creates some momentum for the following year. What we did last year, as you know, is that we took all of those winners awards and they've all hosted roundtables on the different areas and the different award categories. So there's lots of learning that you can access on those roundtables. They're all available to download and to have a look at. I think we were also expecting Mark Lomas from HS2 to join us if possible, but I can't really tell on my screen whether he's there. So if somebody can tell me, there he is.
I think he's there, Kate. Yeah.
Hello, Mark.
Hi.
Hi. So Mark, we've heard briefly from Simon Fort-Underwood, who kindly shared in his usual humble way that, you know, need to learn and partner with organisations in order to just keep on learning. But it'd be really interesting to hear from you the importance of disability confidence, and particularly around recruitment from HS2 and obviously from a RIDI exec perspective, so that our audience can maybe hear from you some of those key thoughts and insights.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, as Simon said in his video, we were absolutely thrilled that the recruitment team won the award. And you know, my day job at HS2 is head of VDI, and it's such a pleasure to be able to work with colleagues like Si and his team who are so committed to making the process as inclusive as possible. And disability confidence is really important to us. We're a disability confident leader. When we work with organizations who supply recruitment into us, making sure that their practices are inclusive as possible is hugely important. And then when I think about the HS2 program and just the volume of work that the recruitment team has had to do this year as we're sort of building up to getting those huge construction contracts really into full operation. That kind of immediate pivot into video interviewing and ensuring that, you know, we were providing adjustments, whether that be captions or other things, using Clear Talents to make sure people could request those adjustments at the stage they needed to. That was done incredibly quickly and seamlessly by our team. I think it is a real kudos to them for doing that. And I think the other thing that we've learned this year, both when we look at our recruitment, but also looking at our supply chain, is that the additional flexibility that we've had during this remote working period and agile working is a potential real positive for disabled candidates. So let's not be too quick to lose that. And there's a window of opportunity now, I think, and over the last year for organizations to really embrace sort of accessibility, improved accessibility of the process, and increased flexibility in their working practices. And let's definitely not waste that window, because, you know, if not now, when? And I think what I'd say to organizations that are kind of listening to the webinar today is that, you know, the RIDI Awards really demonstrate the positive impact that inclusive practices can have, whether it be on an individual, whether it be for a team, whether it be for your organization. And, you know, if you have a success to share or a case study, or you want to submit a submission and share your successes, because we share the learnings that come out of the RIDI Awards, which I think is one of the best things is about them. Don't underestimate the impact that can have. As Simon said, you know, people are on a journey, people are at different points of it, and just understanding the art of the possible through what all the wonderful organizations that submitted awards last year can do is hugely, hugely important. So I think I'd finish with a plea to those on the webinar. Do please submit your entries and your successes for the awards that are coming up. They make an absolutely huge difference, and we all get better if we share our learnings. And I think that's one of the things for me that keeps me so committed to RIDI. You can just see that impact on individuals and teams and organizations just all the time.
Thanks, Mark, for sharing those insights. And if I may just build on them, that you've referenced the fact that we all had to move quite quickly to that virtual world of video interviewing, of making those adjustments online, of adjusting to people working at home. We're now looking at hybrid working, adjustment profiles, all sorts of things happening, many of which have had a positive levelling impact. I mean, I can share my own story that, you know, we literally were planning to move house because I live in the country, and as those of you know me know, I'm partially sighted. so it's not an accessible place to live. But because the whole COVID lockdown pandemic has made everybody not be able to leave the area, it's been very leveling for me, to the point at which we've actually made a life-changing decision to stay where we are, because the communities come together as well. So from my disability perspective, it's had a very positive kind of enabling and empowering impact, and I'm sure it has for many, but for others the opposite. So what RIDI is planning to do at the moment, and if any of you would be interested in engaging with us on this, is doing a small piece of research to kind of dispel or confirm some of those myths about access to adjustments. Is video interviewing more accessible? Are some of our virtual processes more or less accessible? And we will be, at the end of this webinar today, confirming the launch of a new RIDI category, which is about recruiting back better. You might notice a little extension of a tagline that's used elsewhere, that RIDI's adopted shamelessly, which is all about, we want to share the learnings of what you've had to adapt to, that actually, on reflection, has made such a significant positive impact on inclusion and on quality of hire, that you're going to keep it in your processes going forward. So we're going to be wanting to hear about those and share those towards the end of the year. I'm conscious that we've got Karina Townley from Guidant Group, who's also on our RIDI Exec Board, joining us today, and it would be really interesting, Karina, just from that industry perspective, particularly obviously running those huge recruitment contracts in times of challenge over the last 12 months, whether there's any key points from a disability perspective that your team have had to leap together to achieve and change, or where maybe there's some learnings that we can take and maybe do better next time. It'd just be really good to hear if you've got anything to share with the audience today from that context. If we can get some sound. We can't hear you. We have had problems with sound, haven't we? Yeah, okay. What we'll ask Karina to do is we'll put something out on our Twitter and social media, and we'll get the perspective from that volume hiring and big contract recruitment perspective, because I know that you'll all really want to hear from that. But unfortunately, first day back in the office, and challenging Wi-Fi situations, which I had this morning as well. So what we have got, because we like to have a backup plan, is we've got an interview with Jane, who obviously is one of our RIDI exec members, and is the founder of Even Break, and Jane is going to be sharing with you her reflections over the past year, and start to introduce to us what this new process is going to look like, to make the awards accessible for you all and maximise our opportunity to share those stories. So I'm going to introduce Jane Hatton now, who will be chair of the judging panel for next year. Is just going to share a little bit about how you can get involved, please, almost immediately, and get involved with the 2021 awards. So I'm going to hand over to Jane. Thank you.
Thanks, Kate. I'd like to share my highlight of last year as well, which was without doubt the virtual awards ceremony. I think we were a bit worried about it being online this year, as opposed to the buzz that we get in the room. But actually, it was amazing. It was just an incredible ceremony, and that's something I will remember for a very long time. So yes, about the awards for this year. So the good thing about the RIDI Awards is that they're free. Lots of awards now you have to pay to enter, which I never really understand. And they're very easy to enter, so not lots and lots of form filling and lots of different stuff to go through. It's really quite easy. And we'll be judging the period of time in between March 2020 and May of this year. So all of the good practice that you've done in that particular time frame. And it's really important, really, to give us recognition within the industry so that you can be seen as a exemplar in this area, and it certainly builds your kudos with clients, with candidates, and it's a really great thing to be part of. So this year, these are the categories that you can enter, and just to emphasize that it doesn't have to be something that's completely world changing. Even sometimes small tweaks that you've made or small bits of best practice can really make a difference, and the whole point of RIDI is that we share the best practice that we find out, so that everybody else can get better in this game as well. So if you're just getting started, that's great. If you have a really good recruitment campaign that you want to share with us, that's great too. And then making a difference. So we have two here, one in the public sector and one in the private sector. Any organisation, disability company that's doing really well under the Disability Confidence Scheme. disability specialist organisations or individuals. And then new for this year, post-COVID, is the recruiting back better. So we know that things have changed over the last year. We need to make sure that we keep any of the good practice that we developed over the COVID pandemic and make sure that we embed it into our recruitment practice going forward. So recruiting back better is a new category, and also the inclusive recruiter of the year. So that might be a recruitment team or it might be an individual. So lots of different categories. And of course you can enter more than one as well. And celebrating the winners is great. So there's real exposure to the RIDI network. There's recognition from the judges, and we have an incredible panel of judges. I feel extremely privileged to chair. We have a great panel again this year. And also lots of promotion of you as a winner through various RIDI events, through various recruitment industry events generally, and through all of our comms as well. So these are the dates to bear in mind. You can start submitting your entries by on Tuesday the 15th, and it will close on the 23rd of July. So 15th of June to 23rd of July. I'd recommend getting in sooner rather than later, so you've got time to, do it properly. We will announce the finalists at the end of August, and we will do the final judging in mid-October, and then we'll have the award ceremony again like we did last year on the 3rd of December, where we can celebrate all of the good practice that you've told us about. I'm really excited to see the entries this year. We had a remarkable entries last year, and it will be great again this year. Cannot wait to see them. So yeah, get those entries in, and back to you, Kate.
Thanks, Jane. Eloquent as always. But you had the benefit of being recorded, just so that our audience know. But thanks for that. So we've introduced the awards for this year. We've introduced our two new award categories. So let's just expand on those a little bit. We definitely want to hear of anything that you've developed during this pandemic, during these difficult, challenging times for us that we can take forward. Please enter that award and share them. Well, prior to that, we are going to be doing, as I say, this small piece of research just amongst individuals and employers to see whether we can map together is the reality behind some of these potential myths and positive points, and also how can we learn from perhaps some of the things we've done which we felt were inclusive and possibly weren't as inclusive as we'd hoped they would be. So we definitely want to hear all your stories around that, so we can share them and maybe build some action points for people to take forward after that. We've also, you'll notice, we've looked at the other new award that Jane's introduced is that new Inclusive Recruiter of the Year. So apologies to Simon and team about the fact that basically we're not having Inclusive Recruitment Team of the Year, because we recognise the fact that within certain teams we also have individuals who might shine out. So we're giving both teams and individuals the opportunity to enter that. So you can nominate somebody, you can enter yourself, you can enter your team, or you can maybe take a poll within your candidate audience and see if there's anybody in particular that you would like to recommend. We want to hear about the shining lights. And I always go back, so apologies to those who've heard me before, I always go back to this first ever RIDI entry in 2013 or 14, whenever it was, of the individual recruiter who jumped out of their office, ran down the road, jumped into the car with their candidate to help the car parking space to arrive calm for their interview, and they were nominated by that candidate, and those stories are what we want to hear. So yes, please keep sharing those, and ask around your team as well. Ask for some of those highlights and moments that have been so positive. Do look out for us on social media channels as well, so make this as accessible as you can for everybody else, so do share that best practice. And also, just to confirm, we tried to make it as easy as possible to enter the awards with a very short summary. You'll then be video interviewed if you're shortlisted beyond that stage, and then the judges will judge those video interviews objectively against set criteria. So we don't want people having to write out long awards. We want to hear it from the heart, the passion and the soul of the entry, really. So we're going to make that as easy as possible. And of course, that gives us loads of amazing material to share out with you all, both at the awards and afterwards. I can confirm that Liz Johnson, our Paralympian, who's the most amazing facilitator and host, will be hosting the awards again this year. We're delighted that she's confirmed her ability to do that, and thanks to Mel Forbes on our exec panel for making that happen. We're very grateful for that. I can also confirm that we've invested in a new website application to make it even easier to enter, so you can stop and start, have a little mull, have a little think, have a little chat, and it will finally capture what you've put so far. You don't have to start again, so that's all, you know, making it easier as well. The final thing is that basically we want to hear from you. So if you want to, we've got a few minutes left on the webinar now, so if you can put your hand up, or the fantastic people at Attendable will hopefully be able to access your questions, or you can email us info@ridi.org.uk, and then the exec team and our experts that surround us brilliantly will be able to respond to you. And watch this space, please, for more news on our RIDI 100. Some very big news coming out around that over the next couple of months or so. So very excited with that, but I'm not going to spoil its thunder. Watch this space, basically. So I think it's any questions or anything else from any of my colleagues that they would like to add at this stage.
Okay, I wondered if you wanted to try Karina again and see if her sound's back.
Yeah, definitely. If Karina sounds back, we'd be absolutely delighted to hear from her. It's not looking that way,
no,
Sarah.
No, okay. We've also got Simon Fawkes-Underwood is live in here as well, Kate. If, I don't know if you want to have a quick chat with him. There we go.
Yeah. Hi, Simon.
Hello, Kate. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks very much for your video for everybody. So in a few words, how can we motivate these great individuals who have shown an interest in disability confidence to share their stories and get that learning out there into the RIDI Awards, Simon?
You know, I don't do a few words. I think the big thing, and I was reflecting on when you said the individual of the year, we've all spoken about the wonders of the inclusivity journey, but actually the team this year, my team, such a difficult year, working from home, pandemic, so many reasons to get down about stuff. The fillip that the team got from having that recognition about doing something that we all really care about was absolutely incredible. And I was instantly thinking, who in the team might I be able to nominate and what their face might look like, not even if they win, just at the thought of having a phone call or a video call from me to say, I'm putting you forward because of that situation, that story would just be incredible for anyone in anyone's team. So it's a really, really cool thing to be involved in.
Great, thanks, Simon. That's really good motivation. So yeah, this is an opportunity to recognise individuals and give people some positivity. Things that might have gone unnoticed, or that you've just, it's like, you know, a member of the team here at the Clear Company moved our entire inclusive hiring practice onto Zoom in less than a week, whilst improving the quality at the same time. And that deserves recognition, which we've given internally. But, you know, maybe we'll share that as well. I'm sure there's people in your team that have done similar things. Have we got any questions or anything on the chat?
Yeah, Kate, we've also got Hannah from Group GTI on the call as well.
Oh, brilliant. Hi, Hannah. Are you happy to share? Hi, I so enjoyed that roundtable where you shared all of the background to what you've been doing at Group GTI. Are you happy to share a few highlights with the audience today?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the big focuses for us in terms of we won the Getting Started Award, and it was we submitted our kind of activities that we'd done around mental health. We did a mental health awareness month, and I think sort of at the time we didn't think we were doing anything kind of massively significant, but actually it's kind of really set the ball rolling for us as an organisation in terms of really focusing on this. And I think, thank goodness we did, because the last year has been incredible for everyone in terms of kind of impact on mental health and people. And I think had we not put that infrastructure and got that kind of, you know, for want of a better word, confidence in place for people to talk about how they were feeling and what was going on, I don't think we would have weathered the storm as much as we have over the last year. So I really feel that kind of was a seed that we planted that we felt was a really kind of important thing to do, but we didn't think we were we were kind of revolutionizing anything at the time. It felt like a little kind of evolution, and it's become this huge impact for us as an organization. I think, I'd certainly encourage anyone to really kind of think about what they've done, because I think you were always kind of modest about your own achievements, and actually it was lovely to, when we were watching the awards and we saw all of the entries come up, and we were like, gosh, we're never going to win this. And actually it was just so lovely to win. So I'd absolutely encourage anyone that's thinking about entering to put an entry in.
Thanks, Hannah. And I remember when you were on the round table, and indeed in your entry, that just going back to Paul Deemer's point about sharing stories, and particularly some of your leadership and management sharing their stories, sort of seem to empower the rest of the organisation to suddenly start having these dialogues and important conversations, as I recall. So perhaps we could encourage other organisations to look at their culture and say, how easy is it for people to share? How easy is it for them to speak? And how much can we support others to have that dialogue with us? So thanks so much, Hannah. I really appreciate it. And we've got another winner, I think, as well, down in the corner. You're down in the corner there for me, Florence. But
well, no one puts Florence in the corner, Kate.
So Florence from DWF, it'd be great if you could share some of the highlights of your entry in your year with the audience as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a great journey, to be fair, and I think we've been on a journey from saying, we'll put our ticket in the hat, but whether we're going to, I don't think we're going to win, but let's participate anyway, all the way to winning the Best Recruitment Experience or Candidate Experience Award, which we're so pleased about. And I think it's been a real kind of mood lifter for us and our team as well, certainly because we work so hard with so many different candidates, and my team as well, with 150 vacancies at any given time. There's always so many candidates in the running, and to be rewarded and recognized for the great experience we create for candidates has been a real mood lifter for my team as well. I mean, my advice for people who are on this call and are thinking about participating or kind of putting their case forward would be, don't think it needs to be this world life-changing massive case. I think sometimes less is more, and actually doing small things that have a big impact. I think that's where you need to look for in terms of putting your case in the hat, let's say, for a RIDI Award. I think small things that can have a big impact, and that's something you need to look for when you put your case forward. That would be my advice.
Thank you, Florence. And I think unless we've got some more questions, that's probably a really great place to end, because that's always been my philosophy as chair of the RIDI Exec, and it's what RIDI's grounded in, is that we love hearing about the great schemes, and we love taking some of the learning and sharing, and how can we iterate that into smaller organisations who haven't got big budgets, etc. But really what makes RIDI fly is those just incredibly insightful ideas, usually, by the way, gained from talking to and having conversations with our disabled colleagues, or employee resource groups, or, to Simon's point earlier, our specialist advisors and support network, and of course RIDI, and that's what makes the biggest difference. And all we want to do is make sure that nobody misses out on this amazing talent that's out there, and is perhaps finding our roles and our opportunities more difficult to access. So please look at what you do. Is there a small tweak you can make? If there is, make it, tell us, win an award, share it with everybody else. And just a big thank you in busy times when people are just starting to go back to putting aside the time with us today to just share and to listen. And I've noted everybody, by the way, so I'm expecting at least one entry from all of you, plus your whole networks, which I shall look forward to reviewing with the judging panel later in the year. So thanks to our exec board. Thanks very much to Attendable for making this happen I was about to say, and then I lose my words. I'm about to say so smoothly, at which point I lose my words. And thanks to all of our past winners and runners up for joining us today. And of course, most importantly, thanks to everybody who's joined it, who's showing an interest in this agenda. Just as I say, follow up that interest with some action, and you'll make me a very happy person. And I look forward to seeing you all on the 3rd of December, if not before. Thanks very much indeed.